on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of TheLead Houston, where it's all Houston all the time. The Houston Texans, as we all know, have a glaring need on the interior offensive line. Look, there are many other needs as well on this team, but none are as glaring as that offensive line. So that is why we are focusing who in the hell is remaining for the Houston Texans. Now, guards are out there in free agency. We also have the NFL draft. We're going to scoot the draft away, and we're just going to focus on free agency because that's what we're at right now. We do know Aaron Wilson came out with a report a week ago talking about that the Houston Texans, maybe a few days ago, attacking the guard position not only via the draft, but as well as the free agency. And the only free agent you got so far for guard is Laken Tomlinson. Now, Laken Tomlinson, he ain't a world beater. He's a veteran. He's been healthy for the majority of his career, maybe his whole career, because he's played about, I wanted to say it was about 6 years of injury-free football, but that doesn't necessarily equate to good football play either. Laken Tomlinson is a little bit older as well, too, a veteran guard that you're throwing in here. He has connections with the Shanahan system because he played with the 49ers. He also played with the New York Jets. As we know, they had Robert Saleh. As we know, they had Mike LaFleur. Mike LaFleur with the Rams coaching staff right now. Nick Caley knows him, so you see the connections there. So Laken Tomlinson is the only person that the Texans have signed to attack the guard position. When I look at the rest of free agency, I know fans are trying to ask themselves, Harley, who in the fuck should we get? Because we need somebody. We don't need another defensive end. Even though the Texans did sign Casey Toohill, which is a pretty solid signing, I'm not going to lie. It makes me wonder what is going on because there is cause of concern when it comes to the offensive line group. Again, specifically the interior line. We did get another report from Aaron Wilson detailing that Titus Howard could be making the move to left tackle, Blake Fisher staying at right tackle. Center, we still don't know what's going on, but my focus has been so much on the guards that I have not really focused on the center position. You got two centers immediately right now, Juice Scruggs, Jarrett Patterson. They're going to be fighting it out, and I feel like Juice Scruggs is going to win that position. But again, when you look at the guards and you look at free agency and wrote down a list of names, you got Brandon Scherff, one of them. Brandon Scherff is an older veteran, not compared to Kevin Zeitler, because Kevin Zeitler was still doing it at a very high level even last year, and Zeitler's older than Scherff. Brandon Scherff is 33 years old, hasn't played as well to his contract that he got with the Jacksonville Jaguars, not working so hot for him. He's fallen really below to about an average guard play. Now, I understand that's pretty much needed here in Houston because they will take anything at this point. But I don't know if that's going to be the move for the Houston Texans. Again, he is 33 years old, and the decline in play is starting to show a little bit. There's other options out there. I mentioned Mekhi Becton. I had a video earlier with AQ Shipley talking about Mekhi Becton, and if he was Houston, he would absolutely get him. I'm not quite sure Mekhi Becton is somebody that you can replicate that season again that he had with the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, he's not playing next to Lane Johnson or Landon Dickerson, two Pro Bowlers, all-pro guys. Like, he's playing next to Blake Fisher and then maybe Juice Scruggs or Jarrett Patterson, and that's completely different ecosystem compared to the Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll see whether or not he can replicate that season. You can go younger. You can go Tevin Jenkins, who's 26, 27 years old, and played all right with the Chicago Bears. I think that would be a solid addition for the Houston Texans to grab someone like Tevin Jenkins. The youth is very needed on this offensive line, and you could also argue that you need some veteran leadership as well. Now, they did sign Laken Tomlinson, who does check off that box, but maybe Tevin Jenkins could be the move. Solid guard, could be hopefully cheap for the Texans. It does seem like, according to Over the Cap, and I don't know if this is updated or not, but they have about maybe $7 million in cap space. Again, not quite sure if that is an updated total or not, but I don't know if that could get it done for Tevin Jenkins. It seems like the Houston Texans, as we know, are going to have to make another restructure or two and maybe even a tough cut in order to add something to the offensive line group. Another option you have is Will Hernandez, another guy that is relatively young as well, formerly with the New York Giants, formerly with the Arizona Cardinals recently. And Will Hernandez actually played a lot better when he signed with the Arizona Cardinals. But the last 2 years, that injury bug is starting to hit him hard. And that's just not something the Houston Texans can afford. You cannot afford injuries right now on the offensive line, specifically because the lack of options, and you don't really got a lot of depth behind these guys either. So Will Hernandez, if he is going to be healthy, I don't mind the move. I think it could be a relatively cheap move and a little bit of a risk for the Houston Texans that they should be willing to take. Again, the lack of options is concerning for this football team. When you look at someone that you could trade for, I'm not quite sure who the Texans could be trading for. I thought maybe Graham Glasgow from the Detroit Lions, because I thought Zeitler might re-sign with the Lions. He ended up going to the Titans instead. They have a rookie in Christian Mahogany that they really like, but now since Zeitler's gone, they're going to have Glasgow and Mahogany there filling in that role. They could also draft somebody as well. Who knows? Maybe you could still ask about Graham Glasgow, not somebody that is a very good football player, but another option that the Houston Texans could potentially trade for. And then another one on this list for free agents, Dalton Risner. He played with the Minnesota Vikings. Dalton Risner, to me, is the guy the Houston Texans could be looking at. Risner is a better pass blocker than he is run blocker, but ultimately still played some good football and is available. And he was just coached by Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell with the LA Rams, the same LA Rams that Sean McVay was under. So Nick Caley has some sort of indirect relationship with him there. Obviously, Kevin O'Connell has coached against DeMeco Ryans before in that division in the NFC West. So, again, indirect relationships, maybe that's something that could lead Dalton Risner to Houston, a very good guard that was still playing at a pretty high level. Injuries are of a concern. He's 29 going 30 years old right there. I think it's, again, this is a risk you have to take. The Texans have put themselves in this hole, and they need two guards immediately to help this team. They got a few options right now. They can set up a 5 right now, but on paper, it just doesn't necessarily look good. Again, you still have the draft to improve yourselves, but the Texans could go and attack the free agency market right away and improve in the best way possible. I think Dalton Risner is that choice for the Houston Texans. Like I mentioned, the connections are there. He was with Kevin O'Connell. He still played good football. Some injuries, some minor injury concerns there, but ultimately the Texans are going to have to take a risk some way, somehow, and get somebody else at the guard position. You can't just tell me Lincoln Tomlinson is the only answer in free agency for them at guard. They got to do something else, and I think Dalton Risner could come here in a relatively solid average market value kind of price. Hopefully nothing too high considering the high contracts already at guard, but to me, that's the guy, Dalton Risner. That's the one for the Houston Texans to potentially circle and add to the offensive line group. Let me know. Who do you want down in the comment section? Write it down. Who do you want the Texans to sign for free agents? There's not that much left, guys. So hopefully this Houston Texans team, hopefully none of these guys sign by the time I post this video. But hopefully the Houston Texans continue to attack the offensive guard market, and we need it. Okay, the Texans need it as much as possible. We know we need it. The fans need it. They're stressing us out, man. There is anxiety right now when it comes to the guard position. As always, guys, go Astros, go Rockets, go Texans. You have a blessed day.